When I was young, Leo asked me to be his little follower for my whole life. When I grew up, he had a goddess and warned me, Luna, can you stop pestering me in this life? Stay away from me. I'm annoyed when I see you. My father was afraid of angering Leo and hurriedly sent me abroad. After a long time, he suddenly asked about me. My father vowed, Leo, don't worry. I have promised her to someone. She will never get in your way again. The always calm and self-possessed crown prince of the He family lost his composure in public. Leo is the crown prince of the He family. The Lin family is just a small family that lives by relying on the He family. The reason why I can get in touch with Leo is entirely due to the merit accumulated by my ancestors. My great-grandfather had a life-saving friendship with Leo's great-grandfather. The two found a piece of auspicious land and built houses adjacent to each other. That piece of auspicious land has now become a villa area, and the houses have been transformed into modern large villas by descendants. I was born as Leo's neighbor. As the saying goes, a waterfront pavilion gets the moonlight first. When other families were racking their brains to get close to Leo, I had already become Leo's little follower. I like being his little follower because if I have a good relationship with Leo, the He family will take care of the Lin family's business. My father always asked me to follow Leo well. Be obedient in everything. Be observant and not make him angry. Only in this way will the He family always take care of the Lin family's business. I have many competitors. The Shaw family, the Shu family, the Gu family. Every family wants to send their daughters to Leo. Leo accepts all comers. But my position is very firm. Every time those girls bully me, they will be driven away by Leo. The most recently driven away one is Arya. During the trip to Maldives, Arya was wearing a bikini and lying lazily on a beach chair, basking in the sun. Luna, there's no juice left. I immediately understood and said with a smile, okay, the juice will be here soon. I immediately ran to get the juice. When I came back, I heard her complain to Leo. Why do you always bring Luna with you every time you go out? Leo didn't care. She wanted to come, so I brought her. Leo will bring me wherever he goes. It has always been like this since I was young. I happily put 2 glasses of juice on the small table between the two. Juice. Please enjoy it slowly. Arya gave me a glare. I just like her look of hating me but not being able to get rid of me. Arya and I are classmates. I know exactly what kind of person she is. So when I was secretly left behind by Arya when taking a sightseeing bus, I was not surprised at all. However, I was in an unfamiliar place. Couldn't speak the language, didn't bring my phone, and couldn't find the way back to the hotel after walking for a long time. Finally, I could only squat by the roadside and cry. My eyes were filled with tears and my vision was blurred. In the haze, a lollipop appeared in sight. My eyes filled with hot tears immediately burst out with joy. Brother Leo. Seeing the lollipop, I knew it was him. When I was a child, my parents were often not at home. I often cried so loudly that the He family next door was alarmed. Leo always coaxed me with lollipops. Back at the hotel, not surprisingly, Arya left. From then on, Arya will enter Leo's blacklist. Most of the Shaw family's business will be over. There are many female companions like flowing water, but Luna is always there. I was complacent and thought I could follow Leo all my life. Facts have proved that I was too naive. After college, Leo took a fancy to Chloe, the daughter of a wealthy family in Hong Kong. The Sun family is on an equal footing with the He family. Chloe's character, education, family background, figure, appearance, education, everything is top-notch. She is a real goddess. Chloe is not as interested in Leo as other women. When Leo showed his favor to Chloe, he didn't get it as easily as before. Chloe's refusal aroused his and greatly stimulated his desire to conquer. He launched a fierce pursuit of Chloe. He spent a lot on famous watches, bags and cars. But Chloe was not moved at all. Later, He changed to a soft policy. He got up early and went to bed late to buy breakfast for the goddess in person, had lunch together, and arranged everything in detail. He was as dedicated as I was to him. I was almost inseparable from Leo on weekdays. Chloe also has a follower. Her cousin's son. Son and I stood outside the high-end French restaurant and stared at each other. Finally, when the handsome man and beautiful woman came out after dinner, Chloe thanked Leo and said with slightly parted lips, "Thank you for the dinner. I see your sincerity. But I think it's not enough." Son gave me the middle finger and showed a disgusted expression, then followed Chloe away happily. Leo frowned. But because Son is Chloe's cousin, he couldn't say anything. Chloe is really a beloved daughter of heaven. She is so perfect that even her hair is alluring. I took my eyes back from Chloe's graceful back and turned to Leo. His eyes were still tightly locked on the beautiful figure in the distance. His eyes were deep and flickering with determination. On the weekend, Leo arranged a sea outing and invited Chloe. A man followed Chloe. Leo forced a smile and pointed at the man and asked, "Who is he?" Chloe smiled, like a warm spring breeze warming people's hearts. Even I, a woman, was drooling. She responded gently, "He is my childhood friend Mona. We often play together." During the whole outing, Leo had a sullen face and was sarcastic. When leaving, I heard Chloe say in a very gentle tone from a distance, "Leo, don't do to others what you don't want others to do to you. You can have female childhood friends. Why can't I have male childhood friends? That's a bit double standard." Leo, who heard this, was stunned. He looked in my direction and seemed to be lost in thought. After Chloe left, Leo strode towards the parking lot. Leo, wait for me." I called out hard from behind. But Leo ignored me. I ran to catch up with him. As soon as I touched his cuff, I was harshly shaken off. "Can you stop following me all the time?" I was staggered by the shake and was stunned on the spot in disbelief. The look in his eyes when he looked at me was full of resentment, impatience and disgust. But I couldn't say accusatory words. Originally, I had no right to stand shoulder to shoulder with Leo. He gave me the right to stand with him, and he could take it back at any time. I stayed where I was and watched his departing back. It seemed that there was an empty space in my heart. The next day, Leo didn't wait for me to go to school together. I met Sun in the teaching building. She had a look on her face. "Luna, your good days are coming to an end." The sadness of being left behind by Leo last night was still in my heart. I really didn't want to pay attention to Sun. But Sun wouldn't let me go. She grabbed my clothes and pushed me to the ground. I frowned and looked at her, asking angrily, "What are you doing?" She squatted down, looking down at me and patting my face. "Warning you. Stay away from Leo. He is the son-in-law that our Sun family has set our eyes on." I looked at Sun seriously. "Can the Sun family give some business to the Lin family?" Sun was a bit confused. "What do you mean? Literal meaning?" She rolled her eyes. "Dream on." Hearing this, I got up and gave her a slap in the face. Damn it. Does everyone think they are Leo? Can they all ride on me and act bossy? If you can't give business to my Lin family, why are you teaching me what to do? You're ugly but have beautiful dreams. Sun was furious. She covered her face, her eyes fierce, and angrily grabbed at me. I didn't tolerate it either. I sidestepped, raised my leg and kicked in one go. Plop, she fell on all fours. Humph. After such a commotion, the depression I had last night dissipated a lot. I took a deep breath and went to class directly. After class, I was just about to look for Leo when unexpectedly he came to me first. Seeing Leo at the door, I was both surprised and happy. I quickly packed up my books and ran towards him, with extremely cheerful steps. "Leo." I called him, but he didn't answer me and didn't touch my head like he used to. I thought to myself, his face doesn't look good. Is he still angry from last night? However, I didn't do anything wrong last night. He glanced at me and threw out a sentence. Follow me. I followed him step by step. It was the way to the art department. Sure enough. We came to the art department where Chloe was. Before we reached the dance classroom, we heard weeping. A bad premonition immediately surged in my heart. Chloe was comforting Sun, who was crying bitterly. Leo took me forward and was concise, throwing me 2 words. Apologize. I widened my eyes in dissatisfaction. How could Leo protect others without distinguishing right from wrong? I argued. She bullied me first. Leo ignored my explanation and was tough. Luna. Apologize. I won't. For the first time in history, I resisted Leo, seemingly not expecting me to be disobedient. Leo's face was stained with anger. If you don't apologize, don't appear in front of me again in the future. I looked at him in disbelief. In the past, when someone bullied me, he would support me. But now, he has become the #1 person who bullies me. I turned my head and looked at Chloe and Sun angrily. Chloe was a bit apologetic. She looked at Leo. Leo, it's just a small fight between girls. Don't be so serious. However, next time, don't hit or slap in the face. Girls all love beauty. Seemingly pleading for me, but in fact accusing me of hurting Sun's face. Sure enough, the wrinkles between Leo's eyebrows were deeper. There was no compromise at all in his eyes looking at me. I understood. He wanted to give Chloe an explanation. Otherwise, it would affect his progress in chasing Chloe. My eyes were filled with tears and my face was full of grievance. After a few minutes of stalemate, I reluctantly apologized. I'm sorry. As soon as Sun heard my apology, she immediately stopped crying and raised her head. Is one apology enough after you made me so miserable? Only then did I see that Sun's face was black and blue, like a pig's head. I was stunned. Did I hit her so hard? Your face. Slap. I was about to ask a question when Sun slapped me on the face. It was burning hot. I was immediately filled with anger. I raised my hand to hit back, but Leo grabbed my wrist. I couldn't break free. I was glaring and accusing. Leo. She hit me. Just right. It's even. I stared blankly at Leo, who had grown up with me and had always been very caring to me. At this moment, he seemed so strange. Leo frowned. There was disapproval in his eyes when he looked at me. Finally, I shook off Leo's hand hard and ran away disappointed. I fell into a cold war with Leo. When going to school, he no longer waited for me. When I went out, all I could see was the exhaust of his car. At school, Leo also deliberately avoided me, fearing that I would stick to him. I might as well enjoy some peace and quiet by myself. Seeing that I was at home on weekends these weeks, Dad was worried. Finally, he couldn't hold back. Luna, did you have a conflict with Leo? I was sullen and didn't say a word. Dad was beside me, speaking earnestly. Since a month ago, the Lin family's business has been repeatedly hindered. The deals that were negotiated well, the customers inexplicably broke the contracts. If this continues, the Lin family may not even be able to maintain its superficial prosperity. Why don't you go and find out Leo's attitude? Looking at Dad's gray hair and worried face full of wrinkles, I felt bad. When Dad took over, the Lin family was in a mess. But for the glory of the family, he had to hold on firmly. For so many years. The reason why I have always been willing to be Leo's sycophant is that every time I see Dad nodding and bowing and flattering those powerful people, I feel bad. If pleasing Leo can bring peace to the whole family and make Dad stand up straight, then what's wrong with me being wronged a little? If I don't take the initiative to find Leo, he won't find me. It's always me who bows my head. When has he ever taken the initiative to find me? The only time, it was to blame me for someone else. On Monday, I returned to school. I paced back and forth outside Leo's teaching and research office. In these weeks, Leo and Chloe have been dating frequently. and news reports are everywhere. I don't know in what capacity to find him. Oh, isn't this Luna? This full of teasing tone. Who else could it be but Arya? She is very glorious recently. The He family takes good care of the Shaw family. The Shaw family's business is even better. And the whole Shaw family has been promoted a level. In the past, those who bullied me would be blacklisted by Leo. Now, he has really changed. Why? Are you looking for Leo? Oh, some people just don't have self-awareness. A little follower and nanny still delusion ally wants to climb up the branch and become a phoenix. It's a pity. In the end, the prince is meant to be with the princess. Her noisy little mouth kept chattering. I looked at her coldly. And what about you? Are you a pheasant or a crow? If I can't become a phoenix, can she? If I don't deserve the prince, can she deserve him? Who is she? Disgusting. You. Choked by me. Arya was immediately furious. But then, she smiled again. But I can be friends with the crown princess. And some people are destined to be cannon fodder. Wait and see. You will definitely be expelled from the capital. After she finished speaking, she left with her hands crossed in an enchanting pace. Be expelled from the capital? Me? Arya is friends with the crown princess? It must be that Arya said something to Chloe. I didn't see Leo in the end. He went to Hong Kong City with Chloe. It doesn't matter. He must be at Mrs. His 50th birthday. On the weekend, all the prominent figures in the political and business circles came to attend Mrs. His 50th birthday. I looked around but didn't see Leo and Chloe. After Mr. He and Mrs. He gave speeches. The opening dance session began. The bright lights went out. The colorful lights shone on the venue in all directions. A pair of beautiful people suddenly appeared in the middle of the dance floor. The music started and the dance began. The man is talented and the woman is beautiful. The dancing is graceful. After a dance, there was thunderous applause. The two thanked and left, and everyone was satisfied. I followed behind the two, wanting to find an opportunity to ask Leo if there was any targeting of the Lin family's business. I followed the attic up. What I saw was the scene of Leo and Chloe kissing inseparably. I widened my eyes and was petrified on the spot. When I reacted, I immediately hid behind the shuttered door beside me. The sound of the two people's lips and teeth intertwined was clearly audible. I don't know how long it took before it finally stopped. Leo brought a glass of red wine and handed it to Chloe. The two were blowing the cool breeze, full of tenderness. When will your male childhood friends stay away from you? Chloe leaned on the railing and shook her wine glass. You are so bad. You have a female childhood friend by your side. Why should my male childhood friend stay away? Leo kissed her earlobe and whispered a few words. I didn't hear clearly, only heard Chloe say, well, it depends on your performance. They were affectionate for a long time before leaving the attic. I came out from behind the door, feeling as if I was in an ice cellar. I had a premonition that I might really not be able to stay by Leo's side anymore. What about the Lin family's business? After going downstairs, I was in a trance. At this moment, I just wanted to escape. I hurriedly ran into the restroom and gasped for breath in front of the mirror. Do you know why the Lin family has become the thorn in the Sun family's side? I turned my head. Arya was leaning against the door, looking at me with a hooked lip. She continued. I just revealed the news that the He family and the Lin family have a baby engagement to the Sun family. The He family is a stepping stone for the Sun family to expand their circle in the capital. Leo. The Sun family is determined to get him. You. If you are sensible, leave quickly. The Sun family, which has connections in both the underworld and the white world, is not easy to mess with. Baby engagement? When did the He family and the Lin family have a baby engagement? Could it be me and Leo? I wanted to ask clearly. As soon as I looked up, Arya had already left. I returned to the banquet hall. I saw Leo talking to someone. There was no Chloe. I quickly ran up and took this opportunity to explain clearly to him. I really didn't think about any baby engagement. I just want peace for the Lin family. Unexpectedly, I was stopped by Sun. Hey, little follower. Where are you going? It's none of your business. Get out of the way. How dare you shout at me? Believe it or not, I'll make you suffer like last time? You deliberately framed me. Sun had an annoying expression. Yes. I did it on purpose. So what? You are just a contrast to my sister. With my sister around, Leo will always stand by my side. I sneered, as if you are Leo's sweetheart. Just a cousin. And she can also show off her power? Anger flashed in Sun's eyes. She looked behind me and came up close to me. I was impatient. Get out of the way. A fierce look flashed in her eyes for a moment. In just 1 second, our positions were exchanged. She fell towards the tower of wine glasses. I couldn't pull her in time. Instead, it looked exactly like I was the culprit who pushed her. The broken wine glasses made a clattering sound, attracting the attention of the entire banquet hall. Woo woo. Luna, why do you always make things difficult for me? Do I owe you? Sun accused me. I was unable to defend myself. It's not me. Leo came up, frowning and looking at me. I quickly stepped forward and pulled Leo's sleeve. Leo. She fell by herself. It has nothing to do with me. Chloe helped Sun up. The family doctor of the He family came forward to check Sun's wound. Chloe frowned and looked at Leo. But I already understood. In the next second, Leo brushed off my hand. Luna, can you stay away from me? Don't always cause trouble for me and let me clean up your messes. I hurriedly explained. No, I didn't. It's them who ganged up to bully me. They said that the He family and the Lin family have a baby engagement. So the Sun family has been targeting me. Leo looked at me disappointed. Lie. Originally, they said that your intentions towards me were not pure. I didn't believe it. Now that it comes from your mouth, it verifies their words. I suddenly looked at Arya. Then I turned to Chloe and Sun. They were all watching my joke. I was tricked. Mrs. He came out with a smile to smooth things over. Luna. Aunt has always regarded you as a daughter. You and Leo are closer than biological siblings. My parents bowed and apologized to Mr. He and Mrs. He. Luna is ignorant. We will definitely discipline her well when we go back. We have caused you trouble. I don't care about their thoughts. I just want to know Leo's attitude. But Leo took steps to chase after Chloe. I tightly grabbed his hem. Leo. Leo looked back and stared at me coldly. Luna, can you stop pestering me in this life? Stay away from me. I'm annoyed when I see you. A killing and coldness in his eyes scared me and I immediately let go of his hem. I stared at him in a daze. Tears were swirling in my eyes. He just gave me a cold look, and then went to chase Chloe's footsteps. There was a hubbub around. Only I seemed to be in an ice cellar. Since Leo publicly showed his dislike for me at the banquet, the Lin family's business has become more and more difficult. Dad is extremely worried. Mom is also worried. I still want to fight for Leo and want him to help the Lin family. But now I can't even get close to him. I went to wait in their department in advance, squatted at his doorstep, and made an appointment at the He Corporation. None of it worked. I couldn't even see Leo's hair. Once again, I returned disappointed. Sun, Arya, and a group of unknown little followers blocked my way. I had no intention of competing with them. I wanted to go around but was blocked. I looked at Sun coldly without a trace of warmth. Get out of the way. Sun crossed her hands and looked at me with a hooked lip. Full of, I won't. What can you do to me? She gave a look to the little followers beside her. And someone came forward and touched me. I shouted angrily. Get away. But they completely ignored my anger and became even worse. After I was pushed and staggered again, I warned with red eyes. I advise you to leave quickly. Don't mess with me. Son chuckled. Oh dear. I'm so scared. Then you can try and see what will happen if you mess with Miss Lin. Hearing Son's order, these little followers had no scruples at all. They pulled my hair, took off my clothes, and pushed me around like a ball. I was very angry. I broke the that fell on my hand. The sound of breaking rang out. Then I kicked, tripped to people, and grabbed their faces and slapped left and right. After dealing with all the little followers, I turned to Sun and Arya. How can these two arrogant and domineering young ladies compare with me, who has been learning martial arts since childhood? When I was a child, because of my good relationship with Leo, some blind kidnappers kidnapped me to threaten the He family. Since then, Leo and I will have martial arts training regularly. Although it wasn't me who beat Sun Black and Blue last time, but Leo knew that I had that strength. So it was so easy for him to believe that I hurt Sun. Right? No, since Sun knew to use the bitter trick to frame me. She must have investigated and understood my skills. Why is she still provoking and irritating me now? Suddenly, a chill ran down my spine, and a bad premonition arose. Sun fell to the ground in a mess. Her face turned pale, and she held her stomach and groaned. Brother-in-law, save me. Following her line of sight, I turned my head. I met a pair of deep and cold eyes. I was stunned on the spot. With both witnesses and evidence, there was no way to argue. Chloe asked someone to take Arya and Sun away. Leo left last. After walking a few steps, he stopped and looked back. I could only barely see his profile. He said, Luna, it seems that I have never really known you. Suddenly, it seemed as if something was stuck in my throat, choked, ached, and wanted to say something. I opened my mouth, but couldn't utter a single word. A soreness swelled up in my nose. Mist lingered in my eyes. I walked unsteadily, stumbling back home like a wandering ghost. In the dim room, all my strength seemed to be drained, and I slept for a day and a night. The next morning, I went downstairs like a ghost. The whole villa was dim and there was not a single person. I wanted to drink water, but the water dispenser was empty. I didn't know where Mom and Dad had gone. I sat on the sofa, on the verge of crying from grievance. There was a sound coming from the nanny's room. I looked over. Aunt Wu was carrying a suitcase and looking back 3 times. When she turned and saw me, it was as if she saw a savior. Miss, can you talk to Mr. and ask him not to fire us? It doesn't matter if the salary is lower or even without salary. I have been working in the Lin family for so many years. I can't bear to leave here. I believe the Lin family will definitely get through this difficult time. My head was dizzy. Aunt Wu kept talking. After a long time, I hoarsely said, Fired? Difficult time? Aunt Wu wiped her tears. Mr. and Mrs. have been staying up for several days and nights to attract investment. Several products have problems and face high compensation. Only then did I know that the Lin family had already become so fragmented. I held Aunt Wu's hand. Don't leave first. Wait for me. I choked up a bit. Wait for me to think of a way. Aunt Wu didn't leave in the end. But the family could no longer make ends meet. I reluctantly gave all the money in my hand to Aunt Wu and asked her to take care of the family. And I found Mom and Dad. They were at the dilapidated gate of Lin's, surrounded by a group of fierce people. Those people clamored. You must give an explanation. My daughter was poisoned to death after eating your spicy strips. Yes. It's your spicy strips that have a problem. My son is still in the intensive care unit. Mom and Dad were in front. And the relevant person in charge of the company was also following behind. The troublemakers called news reporters to report it widely. I saw a person holding a knife. Immediately felt something was wrong. Dad, be careful. I went forward as quickly as possible and kicked away the knife. The crowd immediately became excited. After finally dealing with these people, as soon as I turned around, I met workers demanding wages. Lin's hadn't paid wages for 2 months. It took a lot of effort to appease the workers. In the lifeless office, Dad was extremely haggard. Mom was crying softly. Dad kept slapping himself in annoyance. It's all my fault. I'm useless. The Lin family will be defeated in my hands. I quickly stopped him. Dad. It's not your fault. He was in tears. Wiping his face, he spit out a few words with difficulty. The Lin family may have to file for bankruptcy. Bankruptcy? My heart tightened. But privately, I think it's understandable for the Lin family to go bankrupt. This burden should be lifted. The unworthy descendants have to go down and plead guilty to the ancestors in person. Hearing this, my mind immediately became clear. A slight panic arose in my heart. Dad regarded the Lin family as more important than his life. If the Lin family was gone, he would really commit suicide. Dad, don't be like this. Wait. I'll go and beg Leo. Don't do anything stupid. He was immersed in sadness and couldn't hear me at all. It seemed that he was already planning how to go down and see the ancestors. I was extremely anxious inside. Regardless of my image, I immediately took a taxi to the He Corporation. I want to see your vice president He. The front desk responded politely, sorry. You need to make an appointment to see Mr. He. This society is so realistic. When I had a good relationship with Leo, now these people who are watching my jokes enthusiastically sent me to the president's office. But now, I don't even have the qualification to step in. Flattering the high and stepping on the low. Following the powerful. Just the operating rules of the secular world. I tried to force my way in, but was dragged out by the security guards. I want to see Leo. Let him come out to see me. They were sarcastic. Our Mr. He is not someone anyone can see. I was worried about Dad and collapsed on the ground powerlessly. Extremely embarrassed. Finally, Leo's assistant Gavin saw me and reminded me that Leo was not in the company. Maybe at home. So, I rushed to the He family. The servants of the He family were not as enthusiastic to me as before. They told me officially, the young master hasn't been back here recently. Leo has more than one residence. Since he got very close to Chloe, I have hardly seen him here. When I left, I saw the list of new product launches on the coffee table. I remembered it. The next day, I searched for the location of the He Corporation's new product launch. I made a disguise in advance and sneaked in. After the new product launch ended, I stood at the intersection where Leo must pass. We looked at each other. But it seemed that he didn't want to talk to me. He was about to leave. I reached out to stop him. Leo. He turned to me. His eyes cold. What's the matter? I bit the bullet. Leo. Save the Lin family. As long as Leo stepped in, all the crises of the Lin family could be resolved. Reason? Reason? He asked me for a reason for the first time. From childhood to adulthood, the Lin family has been used to being protected by the He family. I never thought about the reason. I was a bit lacking in confidence. Just for the sake of our friendships since childhood? Leo sneered. Friendship? It's more appropriate to say it's a service I bought. Bought service? For so many years. Is this how he thought of me? My heart trembled. And my fingers slowly curled back, almost imperceptibly. I wanted to give up. However, the pale faces of Mom and Dad lingered in my mind. So, I looked at Leo pleadingly. With a crying voice. Please. Save the Lin family. I'm afraid of my dad. He can't think straight. Leo looked at me mockingly. And the words he said were extremely cold. What does it have to do with me if he can't think straight? I don't want to help the poor anymore in the future. Don't come to me again. I grabbed his sleeve. His disgusted eyes shot over. He pulled my hand away. My hand was red from the friction as he roughly pulled it out of his sleeve. I have important things to do now. I advise you not to anger me. After saying that, Gavin stopped me. Leo put his hands in his pockets and left directly, looking at his gradually disappearing back. My heart sank little by little. I don't know how I walked out of that building. All I know is, as soon as I went out, I was abducted into a van. Half an hour later, the black cloth over my eyes was pulled off. My blurred vision gradually became clear. Seeing the person in front of me, I frowned. Son. Son looked at me with cold eyes. Luna. Luna. You don't have a protector now. See how you can be arrogant with me. A slap hit my face, and blood immediately oozed from the corner of my mouth. I wanted to hit back, but only then did I realize that my hands and feet were tightly bound and I couldn't move. I angrily looked at Sun. What do you want? Sun laughed loudly. Of course it's revenge. You hit me several times before. I don't have many advantages. Being vengeful is one of them. I closed my eyes, falling into her hands. I'm afraid I can't escape this disaster. Sun punched and kicked me, each blow hitting the vital point. Soon, I was sweating coldly and breathing out more than in. Seeing that I didn't respond at all and just endured it, Sun also found it boring. Oh, bullying people is not interesting either. Why don't we play something more exciting? You call Leo. If he comes to save you, then I'll let you go. If he doesn't come, then I can't be blamed. Call Leo? Leo hasn't replied to my messages for a long time. If I call him, will he answer? Sun signaled her subordinates to untie me. As soon as the rope was untied, I immediately collapsed to the ground. Call. If Leo cares about you, I'll let you go. Inwardly, I really didn't want to contact Leo anymore. However, all these years of getting along played in my mind like a movie. I still had illusions and expectations for him. So, under Sun's coercion and urging, I dialed Leo's cell phone. However, by phone, WeChat, and even Nolly Pay, I contacted him in all possible ways. Leo didn't respond at all. I listened to the beeping sound of the phone almost despairingly. Oh, look at my memory. It's my sister's birthday today. Leo should be very busy. He has to prepare birthday gifts and decorate the birthday party venue. TSK. Envy. It turns out that the important thing Leo said was to celebrate Chloe's birthday. With tears streaming down my face, I laughed softly. The stomach that was kicked by Sun just now was now cramping in pain. Seeing me like this, Sun still wanted to add fuel to the fire. Since you can't get through, then I'll try and ask for you. Sun dialed Leo's video call. Brother-in-law. Are you busy? Leo replied with a, ahem. Luna has something to say to you. Hearing my name, Leo frowned. But he didn't say anything. Killing people is not as cruel as destroying their hearts. He refused to answer my call but answered Sun's. Sun pointed the phone at me. At this moment, I must be very ugly. Crying bitterly, with a miserable expression, I spoke softly. Leo. Save me. Luna. What trick are you playing again? No one knows your skills better than me. Sun can't beat you at all. Even if you're really in trouble. Don't bother me. On the video, Leo was on a rooftop. The venue was very grand and beautifully decorated. Chloe was in the center of the crowd, chatting and laughing. Leo hung up after speaking. His indifference shattered my last straw. TSK. AFK. Poor thing. I lay on the ground like a piece of mud. Compared to the physical pain, what was more desperate was the loss of hope. Leo, he is no longer the Leo he used to be. Probably seeing that I had no fighting spirit at all. Sun also lost interest. Not interesting. I'm going to my sister's birthday party. Have a good night. Sun left. But she left 5 strong men. They walked towards me lewdly. 3 years later, at the He family, Dad was invited to attend Mr. and Mrs. He's silver wedding banquet. In this kind of wine party, he is quite handy. Anyway, it's just nodding and bowing, complimenting and flattering. He is used to it. He had just toasted a big shot and turned around and bumped into a back. He apologized repeatedly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Looking up, he saw that it was Leo. Leo seemed to casually say, Uncle Lin. Oh, Leo. You are being polite. I don't dare to be. Dad was embarrassed and wanted to slip away. Hearing this, Leo's face immediately darkened. A breath was stuck in his chest. Stop. As soon as he turned around, he was scolded by Leo. Turning back again, he was 1 meter away from Leo. What instructions does Leo have? Luna. Before Leo could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Dad. He vowed, Leo, don't worry. I have promised her to someone. She will never get in your way again. Hearing this, Leo was stunned for a second. It seemed as if something was empty in his heart. He looked at Dad coldly. Say it again. Leo was very oppressive. Dad wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. Repeat, Leo. You can rest assured. I have promised her to someone else. She will never get in your way again. Dad repeated it for the second time. Leo's face suddenly changed. He suddenly smashed the wine glass in his hand on the ground, and glass shards flew everywhere. Everyone around was startled. Seeing that something was wrong, Dad slipped away while Leo was angry on the spot. The first thing he did when he got home was to make an overseas call to me. Good daughter. I was still a bit confused when I received the call. It's still early morning here. Dad usually doesn't call at this time. What's wrong? Dad. Daughter. You must hide well outside. What happened? Dad told me about Leo losing his temper and smashing the wine glass. At Leo's study in the He family, his eyes were fixed on the technician fiddling with a bunch of instruments. The conversation between me and Dad was clearly heard by the two of them. Can it be located? The technician frowned and operated carefully. After a burst of beeping sounds, the technician exclaimed, It's done. I was still sleepy at first, but after hanging up the phone, I couldn't sleep at all. I got up and came to the window. In the early morning, there was already a lot of traffic and bright neon lights. Memories went back to that evening. Someone saved me at a critical moment. She recorded the whole process at that time, and I used that video to threaten Chloe. Son is just a sycophant like me. Among the Sun family, only Chloe, the daughter of the person in power, can make decisions. I told Chloe, if she didn't do as I asked, I would release the video and point out Sun's atrocities. At that time, public opinion alone would overwhelm the Sun family. The Sun family's establishment in the capital would be affected. At the same time, I told her that the more the Sun family targeted the Lin family, the more I would cling to Leo's thigh. The more I would publicly announce the baby engagement with Leo and nail her to the pillar of shame. So, Chloe compromised. She agreed to help the Lin family. And I left the capital. On the day I left, it was raining heavily in the capital. And Chloe was afraid that Leo would know the news of my departure, and injected capital into the Lin family on that day. My parents all went to the ribbon-cutting ceremony. So, I silently came to the UK alone. When I left back then, my heart was already numb. Leo gave me a desperate blow. So I left without hesitation. I told Mom and Dad to cancel my household registration and change my name. Slowly take root in a foreign country. Not long after I left, Leo and Chloe got engaged. The engagement ceremony was very grand and was broadcast live globally simultaneously. I also saw it abroad. And not long after I came to the UK, I met Ku Hao. He is gentle and refined, comes from a superior family background, and has secretly given a lot of help to the Lin family. In the meantime, my parents, me and Ku Hao traveled through several countries and met. They were very satisfied with Ku Hao and asked Ku Hao to take good care of me. When I left back then, the money given by Chloe temporarily saved the Lin family. But it still needed to be filled later. Ku Hao helped Dad solve this worry. At least the Lin family didn't have to go bankrupt. I just hope that the He family and the Sun family can let go of the Lin family. I can stay abroad forever and never appear in front of them again. When I first came to the UK, I was very sad. There was no one to rely on and I was extremely confused. After coming here for a while, I found that British people like drinking tea. Breakfast tea, bedside tea, afternoon tea, farewell tea, work break tea, etc. I tried to open a Chinese-style tea house, mainly promoting famous Chinese teas and supplemented by traditional Chinese snacks. It was widely welcomed. The tea house has also grown from 1 to 2, 3, and now it has chains throughout Europe and America. At the same time, in order to help the Lin family solve the product sales problem, I opened up the sales channels of spicy strips in European and American supermarkets in the form of a distributor, successfully solving the years of losses and low sales volume of the Lin family. Now life is quite comfortable. I sat in the office and calculated the amount on the account. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Come in. Are you busy? I looked up. I saw Ku Hao coming in with afternoon tea. Not busy. I got up and went to the sofa. Took a sip of tea. Took out an envelope and pushed it to Ku Hao opposite. Ku Hao was puzzled. What's this? Open it and see. Ku Hao opened the envelope and immediately understood when he saw what was inside. He was a bit unhappy. Luna, do you have to be so clear-cut with me? I responded with a smile. Even brothers have to settle accounts clearly. Only when I pay back what I borrowed can I have an equal conversation with you. My business is going so smoothly thanks to you. I patted him on the shoulder. Don't be unhappy. Clearing all these debts makes me very happy. Finally, there is no burden. Do you want me to always carry a psychological burden? Ku Hao's handsome eyebrows were slightly moved. I took advantage of the victory to pursue. Now I am finally free. Come on. I'll treat you to a meal. No matter how long I have been abroad, I still love Chinese cuisine the most. Jazzy Ui, a very famous Chinese restaurant here. Drunk with wine and full of virtue. Just by hearing the name, you can tell that the boss loves Chinese culture. Because it is very far from where we live, we haven't had time to come here. Ku Hao and I ordered several classic dishes. Before the meal, I'll go to the restroom. Coming out of the private room. Excuse me, where is the restroom? The waiter pointed to the other side. Okay, thank you. I came out of the restroom. I was blocked. Looking down at my phone, I didn't notice the person coming. Please let me pass. Thank you. The other party remained motionless. I put down my phone and looked up. In an instant, time stood still. Let the surrounding scenes change rapidly. I and the other party stood still in it. The healed scar in a certain place in my heart seemed to have signs of cracking. Some memories that I don't want to be touched seemed to be about to break through the cage. A ripple stirred in the calm lake of my heart. I don't know how I returned to the private room. What's wrong? Your face is not good after going to the restroom. Ku Hao asked with concern. I forced an ugly smile. Nothing. Could it be that good days are coming? I was amused by Ku Hao. You think too much. Hurry up and eat. I thought that after such a long time, Leo should have left. But unexpectedly, as soon as we came out of the private room, Ku Hao was beaten. Leo raised his fist and crazily punched Ku Hao in the face. Ku Hao was unprepared and took several punches. Stop quickly. I tried to persuade him desperately. But Leo completely ignored me as if he didn't hear. There was no way. So I had to catch his fist and take the opportunity to attack him hard. Only then did Leo barely stop. But what's with the injured expression on his face? Does he have a reason to hit people? Too lazy to deal with him. I quickly asked about Ku Hao's wound. How are you? Ku Hao's face was a mess and he still forced a smile and shook his head. Nothing. Let's go. I'll take you to see a doctor. I supported Ku Hao and left. Before leaving, I took a look at Leo to prevent him from making a sudden attack again. He stared at my face with bloodshot eyes, as if he had 1,000 words to say. I couldn't care less and left with Ku Hao. I thought Leo would leave, but when I returned to my residence at night, I found Leo leaning against my door. I tightened the bag in my hand and hesitated for a moment. Then I figured it out. What am I afraid of? If you don't do anything wrong, you won't be afraid of ghosts knocking at the door in the middle of the night. I unlocked the door, entered, and closed the door in one go without changing my expression under his gaze. I was really tired and fell asleep as soon as I lay down. The next day, I opened the door. A figure fell in from the door. Looking closely, it was actually Leo. His face was pale and his forehead was covered with cold sweat. The whole person was in a coma. I stood there in a dilemma. Finally decided to help him. But when my hand was about to touch him, the pain of being beaten by Sunback then seemed to reappear at this moment. The cramping pain forced me to tremble and withdraw my hand. He didn't save me back then. So, I ruthlessly kicked him out. Closed the door. Left. Let him lie unconscious at the door. I don't understand what he is doing. Anyway, it has nothing to do with me. Now I have a new life and everything can be self-consistent. I am no longer the person who needs to be Leo's sycophant and curry favor with him everywhere. Whether he lives or dies has nothing to do with me. However, since that day, he always appears around me like a ghost every day. When I go to eat, he stands by the glass window. When I go to an art exhibition, he appears at every corner. When I go to work, he stands at the company gate. The most crucial thing is, he is at my doorstep every night without fail. As long as Ku Hao and I appear at the same time, Ku Hao will definitely be beaten. During this process, I didn't say a word to Leo. I thought, he is just on a whim. But he has been doing this for 2 whole months. People in the company whispered. When I got home, my neighbors also avoided me, fearing that I was haunted by some unclean person. That night, when I got home, I didn't see Leo. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, I felt a little lost in my heart. I opened the door, entered, and closed the door as usual. I sleep very lightly. In a daze, I heard the sound of the door lock. Immediately became vigilant. In the darkness, I groped my way out of bed, took a stick and hid behind the sofa. A very tall person rummaged through my room and searched everywhere. He entered the bedroom and found no one on the bed. So he became vigilant. My heart beat faster. I originally wanted to lose money to avoid disaster. Now it seems impossible. He searched and I hid. When there was no way to retreat, I took the initiative to attack. I hit his back hard with a stick, when he was unprepared. After the other party exclaimed and reacted, he immediately launched an attack on me. Only then did I realize that he actually had an accomplice. 2 burly men who are 1.90 m in height. Although I have learned martial arts, it is very difficult to deal with them. The other party took out a short knife. Under the reflection of the street lamp, it made me squint. Inattentively, I was kicked to the ground. One of them stabbed me with a knife. I quickly rolled over to avoid it. But being chased and blocked like this, I was exhausted. Finally, one of them bound my hands, and the other's sharp knife stabbed at me. I closed my eyes in despair. At a critical moment, someone broke in. Leo kicked away the person holding the knife. I also took the opportunity to break free. The 2 of us worked together to subdue the gangster and called the police. After the police finished taking statements and left, both of us were slumped on the sofa. I was just about to break the awkwardness and say thank you. But he fell off the sofa and passed out. Outside the ward, Gavin had a bitter face. Miss Lin, Leo hasn't eaten or slept well these 2 months. His body has been dragged down. In fact, before he could finish speaking, the doctor called for the family member. I entered the ward. Seeing the pale Leo, I felt a bit uncomfortable. How are you? Leo smiled. As gentle as when we were young. It's nothing serious. I'll peel an apple for you. Okay. I was stunned. I actually just said it casually. He hated apples the most before. There was no way. So I sat down and peeled the apple. After eating the fruit, I felt the atmosphere was a bit awkward. I wanted to leave but was embarrassed. I looked at my watch from time to time. If you have something to do, you can leave first. I was relieved. Okay. Then I'll leave first. At the moment the ward door closed, I saw his drooping mouth from the glass. But Leo, all this is not caused by me. Everyone has to pay the price for what they have done. I thought Leo would stay in the ward for a few days. Unexpectedly, he appeared at my doorstep again the next day. This time, I invited him in to sit down. Leo, do you have something to do with me? Persisting for 2 months. I really don't know what on me is attractive to the He Corporation. Leo pursed his lips. His face was a little rosier, but still a bit sickly. He choked up a bit and continued. I just missed you. Miss me? I frowned and didn't understand what he meant. I didn't want to guess what it meant either. I changed the subject. Did you marry Chloe? Leo was stunned. Before he could answer, I continued. Probably even had a child. Leo looked at me. You don't watch the news? I shook my head. No, I like this peaceful life now. I have a new social circle and circle of friends. I have cut off all contact with everything in China. Leo showed a wry smile. Is there no one or thing you miss in China? I looked at Leo and answered seriously. Yes. That day, Leo left in a daze. The back was bleak. Just like when I left the country in loneliness back then. However, there is no empathy. People should live in the present. Leo no longer appeared in my life like a ghost. My life returned to calm. Thinking of Ku Hao, I felt a little guilty. Leo beat him every time he saw him. So for those 2 months I asked him not to come to me as much as possible. Now that Leo has left, I took gifts and went to his house to visit him. From a distance, I saw him arguing with a woman. I frowned, stopped the car, approached. I heard them say something about deception and shamelessness. I said, Arya? After several years. She hasn't changed at all. Arya was slightly surprised to see me. Luna. I looked at Ku Hao and then at Arya. Do you know each other? The two remained silent, which was considered an admission. What are you arguing about? Arya gave Ku Hao a sideways glance. Ku Hao immediately turned his face to the other side. In Ku Hao's living room. Luna, how have you been these years? Pretty good. That's good. Thanks to your life-saving grace back then. At that time, Sun left 5 strong men. The meaning was obvious. At a critical moment, Arya rushed in with people and rescued me. At that time, Arya pretended to defect to the Sun family. The house where I was kidnapped was found by Arya. She installed surveillance in advance and recorded the whole process of Sun's violence against me. Later, I also threatened Chloe with that video. Hearing what I said, Arya smiled a little unnaturally. In fact, it was all arranged by Leo. What? Leo? What does it have to do with Leo? At that time, I asked him for help, but he told me not to look for him. Arya told me. Leo pretended to be in an alliance with the Sun family to avenge me. The Sun family started in the underworld. The people who kidnapped me then were from the Sun family. After that kidnapping, I was sick for a whole year. I was afraid of the dark, afraid of contacting people, and afraid of all touches. It was Leo who stayed by my side day and night. Told me, don't be afraid. It's all over. Brother will avenge you in the future. My heart seemed to be blocked by a ball of cotton. Stuffy. Did he really do it for a revenge that was said so many years ago? Arya was someone he had planted in the Sun family in advance. Even Ku Hao was arranged by Leo. When Arya mentioned Ku Hao, she was indignant. This bastard doesn't even know that a friend's wife cannot be bullied. It was clearly Leo who asked him to take care of you. Unexpectedly, this person took a fancy to you. He is just like you. He changed his name, changed all contact information, and stayed by your side, causing Leo to lose your news and become anxious. In the past few years, I was afraid that Leo would find me. I didn't tell my family about my phone. I seldom contacted them. When I did contact, I would deliberately look for a public phone. I looked at Ku Hao. His lips were tightly pursed. Is what Arya said true? Ku Hao's face was quite guilty. I'm sorry. But I am sincere to you. No wonder Leo beat Ku Hao every time he saw him. None of them are good people. Finally, I asked Arya, what's your relationship with Ku Hao? He is the stepson of my runaway mother. After leaving Ku Hao's house, my thoughts were a little chaotic. Enemies are not enemies. Benefactors are not benefactors. It seemed that something was missing in my heart all of a sudden. Walking in the square, looking at the groups of people, there was a feeling of being in a different world. Unable to suppress my inner curiosity, I searched for news about Leo and Chloe. The breakdown of a wealthy marriage alliance. The shocking scandal of the Sun family. The Sun family was exposed to collude with drug dealers and launder money. The Sun family was exposed to be the umbrella of fraud forces in northern Myanmar. The Sun family went bankrupt. All the main members of the Sun family were arrested. These news all happened 2 months ago. Each one is on the front page. However, I still can't forgive Leo. Why could these things be told to Arya but not me? Why did he choose to hide and hurt me to accomplish it? Obviously we could fight side by side. But he put me in a passive role of receiving favors and being in great pain. Is this what Leo thinks is love? Knowing the truth didn't have any impact on my life. I still get up early, go to work, eat, get off work, and sleep. A 3.1-line life. Until one day, I received a courier. I opened it. It was a share transfer and property gift agreement. Leo gave me all the shares of the He Corporation, and gave me all his movable and immovable properties under his name. I was shocked. What does he mean? I wanted to contact him, but I found that I didn't have his contact information. I called Dad. Luna, why don't you come back and see Leo? I don't understand. Dad actually asked me to see Leo. When I left back then, I told Dad that the reason why Leo targeted the Lin family was because I was in the way of Leo in China. So Dad sent me away, hoping that I would never come back. But now, Dad actually asked me to go back and see Leo. What's wrong with him? Dad sighed. At a young age, he got a terminal illness. He has given up treatment. After hanging up the phone, my mood couldn't calm down for a long time. The envelope in my hand was extremely hot. I did a lot of mental work and finally convinced myself. I always have to return things to him. I set off and returned to China. I went to the He family to look for Leo. But I was told that Leo wasn't at home. Mrs. He took my hand. Luna. He was also forced before. The Sun family set their sights on the He family. If the Sun family fights to the death, the He family may not be able to get out unscathed. The baby engagement between you and Leo is true. If you don't leave, the Sun family will not let you go. And Leo will not be able to act freely. So, he sent you away. After you left, Leo fought wits and courage with the Sun family and finally won narrowly. Mrs. He said that the country wanted to rectify the Sun family. But in order to balance all forces and stabilize those hidden anti-China forces, the Sun family could not be moved openly. So, they found Leo. Leo didn't want to let the Sun family go either. So, it was a hit. During this period, the only uncertainty was me. Sending me away. He had no worries. I returned the shares and property that Leo gave me to Mrs. But she said that these were Leo's things. She had no right to interfere with his decisions, nor could she take them back for him. Mrs. He led me to Leo's study. Densely packed and dazzling. They were all my photos. If one said that he didn't like me, no one would believe it. He is sick now. He hid secretly. We can't find him. Mrs. He cried softly. Did you look everywhere? Mrs. He sobbed. We looked. We looked everywhere we could. But we couldn't find him. I don't know where he will go. Perhaps knowing that his time is running out. He found a place to hide and is preparing to leave secretly. Hearing this, my nose felt a little sour. Now I have no other thoughts but to find him quickly and return things to him. I can't bear what he gave me. I paced back and forth, thinking about where Leo would choose in his last days. Looking up and looking around. There was no clue in Leo's study. It was all my photos. But a pyramid pattern suddenly appeared among so many photos. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration. I remember after being kidnapped when I was a child. I felt like I was about to die. I said, "Brother Leo, if I die, you can make me into a mummy. When you miss me in the future, come and see me." Leo wouldn't let me talk nonsense. "You won't die. If we die, we die together. Make us into mummies and put us together forever." Since he has such deep feelings for me, then he must be reluctant to let me hear the news of his departure one day without any comfort. Would he want to make himself into a mummy? I rushed to that mysterious country. Egypt. Modern Egyptians no longer make mummies. Only in very few workshops is the technology of making mummies still preserved. I searched around and looked for workshops that preserved the mummy-making technology. Finally, I really found Leo in a workshop. This workshop's ancestors specialized in making mummies for the royal family. Although it is not allowed in modern society, there are still some princes and nobles who will be buried in this way. I pushed open the door. In the secluded courtyard, a reclining chair creaked and swayed. I approached. I saw Leo lying on it and taking a nap with his eyes closed. Tears welled up immediately. I angrily stepped forward and scolded, "Leo, you coward. When you are sick, you hide. Are you like a man? What are you doing by giving me your He Corporation? My peaceful life has been broken by you. And now you are going to leave irresponsibly again." Leo opened his eyes and was full of surprise to see me who suddenly appeared. He lay on the reclining chair in a daze and listened to my roar. "Do you know that people who are made into mummies are extremely ugly? I like young and handsome wolves. Go to hell and go far away. I don't like ugly things." Leo opened his mouth. Finally, he uttered a sentence and carefully observed my reaction. "Then shall I freeze myself on Mount Everest?" I was almost amused by his words. "I don't like dead people. I like living ones. Living ones. Those who are alive and full of vitality." Finally, Leo was brought back to the capital by me. On the plane. "Did you come here because I said when I was a child that if I died, I would be made into a mummy?" Leo nodded. I was speechless. "Big brother. That was when we were kids. When we were kids. We didn't know that mummies were ugly. I don't like mummies now." Leo stared at my eyes tightly. "As long as the body is preserved well, the soul will come back." I still wanted to say something but was blocked by his words. "So he wants to preserve the body, and then the soul will come back to find me?" It sounds a bit creepy. But his affection is precious. Can't we just live our own lives well? As an adult, you have to make people worry. I looked at him with hatred for not making steel. He blinked his eyes like a little wife and looked at me a grieved lie. I was a bit soft-hearted. This person is sick now. But until now I still don't know what disease he has. "What disease do you have exactly? Is it really a terminal illness? Must he die?" He stammered. I was furious. "Damn it. Are you a man? You can't even say clearly what disease you have." Chirping and whining. "What's the matter?" "Breast cancer." His words interrupted my lecture. I looked at him in surprise. "I didn't hear clearly just now. Is it what I heard?" "What?" This time he said it very clearly. "Breast cancer." I was immediately speechless. I withdrew my gaze and felt a bit embarrassed. I secretly searched on my phone. Can men really get breast cancer? Although there are many inducing factors for breast cancer. But being in a state of high mental stress and bad mood for a long time increases the probability of inducing breast problems. Did he get it this way? So it is very important to maintain a good mood and mindset. In life, except for life and death, there is nothing major. Back in China, I found the best hospital and the best doctor. Before he entered the operating room, he tightly held my hand. Luna, wait for me to come out. I threatened him. You have to come out alive. If you die, I will take your money and find little milk dogs and little wolves. Leo entered the operating room, a grieved lie. I won't give you a chance. As the door of the operating room closed, separated me and Leo into two worlds. I haven't completely forgiven Leo in my heart yet. But whether I choose to forgive or not in the future, he has to be there. Debts disappear with death. What he did to torture me, only when he is alive can I get it back. During the waiting time, I took a nap, returned to my childhood. Luna, you have to be my little follower for my whole life. Follow me all your life. Luna, asked softly. You are with me for a lifetime. I am with you for a lifetime. What's the difference? Leo scratched his head. It seems there is no difference. It's all a lifetime. I nodded. Yes. So be my little follower for a lifetime. Leo thought for a while and nodded. Okay. A lifetime.